الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. اللهم ارحمنا برحمتك، اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا يا قاضي الحاجات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد رسول رب العالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, teach us what benefit us, increase in us in knowledge, in good morals and in good deeds يا رب العالمين. We continue in explaining منظومة المقدمة فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلمه من نظم إمام الحفاظ حجة القراء محمد بن علي بن يوسف ابن الجزري رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا به. We continue explaining منظومة المقدمة by Imam Ibn al-Jazari رحمه الله تعالى, and we are on line on section 10 الباب العاشر, section 10 باب أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين. باب أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين, the rules of نون ساكنة and تنوين. And we are on line 68, which is the last line in this section. So Imam Ibn al-Jazari rahimahullah says here, وحكم تنوين ونون يلفى إظهار ندغام وقلب إخفى فعند حرف الحلق أظهر والدغم في اللام والراء لا بغنة اللزم وأدغما بكلمة في يؤمن إلا بكلمة وأدغما بغنة not بكلمة وأدغما بغنة في يؤمن إلا بكلمة كدنيا عنون والقلب عند الباب غنة كذا لخفى لدى باقي الحروف أخذا. So we are on line 68, which is the last line in this section. And last time we covered al-qalb, which is a changing the noon sakina or tanween into meme at the ba. And what's left is we'll try to show you just some of the pictures about al-qalb. Then we start al-Ikhfa, inshallah, which is the second half of that of the last line of this section. We talked about al-qalb and the issue about al-Ikhfa al-Shafawi many times, and we explained it in details, and we brought some words of the scholars, alhamdulillah. Now, for al-qalb, bismillah ya muyassir. For al-qalb, let's see, to show you some of the pictures about al-qalb. Bismillah ya muyassir. Okay. Subhanallah al-Azim. See. These files are not working, so the DVD that I got of the book of Sheikh Ayman is not working here on the, I think now it should be working. It doesn't work on the laptop easily, So I got an external driver to try to make it work. It doesn't seem it wants to work here. On the normal desktop, it's working. Remove the window. Let's see. Anyway, I showed you what we need from Al-Qalb, and it's not a big deal. So actually, let's see, select all and extract to. Let's do. F, no, not F. Let's do C. Bismillah. Yeah. So then he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, let's give it another try. والقلب عند الباء بغنة كذا الإخفاء لدى باقي الحروف أخذ. والقلب عند الباء. Again, as I told you, we make قلب at the باء. Means you have noon sakina or tanween followed by باء. والقلب عند الباء بغنة, قلب with غنة. كذا الإخفاء. والقلب عند الباء بغنة كذا means كذلك, means as well, means you should do the قلب. كذا الإخفاء لدى باقي الحروف أخذ. Here we have something you need to pay attention to in regard with the way you read this line. So the way you read this line, والقلب عند الباء بغنة كذا الإخفاء. Who remember what do we call this? والقلب عند الباء بغنة كذا الإخفاء. Here, let me show you the line again. كذا الإخفاء. Is this Hamza here, Hamzat Wasl or Hamzat Qata in this word here? كذا الإخفاء. Is this Hamzat Wasl or Hamzat Qata? The word al-Ikhfa, if you say al-Ikhfa, is this Hamzat Wasl or Hamzat Qata? Huh? What do you think, Ya Ahmad?
Hamzat al-Wasl.
Look at it here, look at it. Is this Hamzat Wasl or Hamzat Qata?
Hamza Qata.
Wahab Awan, if you like, follow this class, you will know where to place your tongue because it differs from Ikhfa letter to another. Or watch the Easy Tajweed playlist. Also, you find the answer for your question. When is the Hamza Hamzat Wasl and when is it Hamzat Qata, Ya Ahmad?
Hamza Wasl after Hamza.
Huh? Is this Hamzat Qata or Hamzat Wasl right here?
Hamzat al-Wasl.
What's the symbol of Hamzat Wasl, Ya Akhi? What's the symbol of Hamzat Wasl?
It's like a small Hamza.
No. Hamzat Wasl is an alif that has a little sad on it. Okay, Akhi? Okay, that is Hamzat Wasl. This is only Hamzat Wasl. Nothing else is Hamzat Wasl other than this. This is Hamzat Wasl, okay? Yes, some books, they call it Aliful Wasl. I don't like to mention this at all because I don't want to confuse the students. Khalas, this is Hamzat Wasl. Okay, Hamzat Wasl. Once you see the Hamza, Ya Ahmad, everybody pay attention, please, to that. Once you see the Hamza, it's Hamzat Qata'. Hamzat Qata'. Hamzat Qata' means what? You don't drop it, whether you connect or you stop. Plus Hamzat al-Wasl, when you connect it with any letter before it, you drop it. Tamam? This is like ABC, huh? Okay? Okay, what's the symbol of Hamzat al-Wasl, Ya Ala?
The alif.
Just an alif?
Like it's like the line, like it's like this It's
An
like the
alif
one
that has
below.
what on top? An alif that has one on top of it. Look at it here. Do you see it? Do you see my screen, by the way?
Yeah.
What does it have? Like a small sad in the beginning of the word, right? You see it?
Yeah.
A sad in the beginning of the word, huh? Just make it small. So an alif that has a little sad on top of it, that is Hamzat al-Wasl. Other than that, once you see the Hamza, the shape of the Hamza in any word, that's Hamzat Qata. Clear?
Yeah.
In normal books, guys, like in hadith books, let's say, in hadith books, or in normal Arabic books that are written in Arabic, other than the Holy Quran, they don't put a little sad on it. So you have to know it. Okay, they don't put a little sad on it. They don't put a little sad. Okay, I'm speaking English, yeah, Wahab, I think. Okay, so Hamzat al-Wasl is dropped when we connect it with any letter before it. But if we start with it and we don't connect it with a letter before it, then we have to pronounce it. And we mentioned before talked about the haraka of Hamzat al-Wasl, and there's a section about Hamzat al-Wasl. It will come at the end of Al-Jazariyya as well, inshallah. So let's come back here. Al-Ikhfa, guys, the word Al-Ikhfa, ya Ahmad, is it with Hamzat al-Wasl or Hamzat Qata? Yalla ya Ahmad, quickly ya akhi, answer me quickly. Is the Hamza in this word Hamzat Qata or Hamzat Wasl?
أنت خطأ.
Hamzat Qata. Yes, we
Yeah,
said once
معلش.
you see the Hamza, it's Hamzat Qata.
يعني
Once you
أنا
see the Hamza, is Hamzat Qata. While this Hamza right here is Hamzat Wasl. And I didn't write it because in our normal writing, we don't put a little sad on it. Anyway, so this is Hamzat Qata. So we should say Al-Ikhfa, Al-Ikhfa, right? But look what he said here. Kada. How do we read this? Here we say kada, kada, likhfa, kada, likhfa. First of all, he dropped the Hamza here. He dropped the Hamza. As we said, some Arabs, they don't pronounce the Hamza at the end, okay? And in some qira'at, some of the readings of the Quran, also in some words, we don't pronounce the Hamza at the end, like as-sama, okay? One of the reading I read to my Sheikh Bakri, may Allah have mercy on him, the qira'ah of Hisham, the riwayah of Hisham, for example, he says as-sama when you stop on it. You don't pronounce the Hamza. So he said al-ikhfa. Now, why he said kada likhfa? He used this dialect of saying this word to suit and to fit the rhythm of the poem. Tamam? And this is a correct Arabic dialect, and it's read also in some narrations of the Quran, like the narration of Warsh. Okay? So here, and we had examples about this before. We had examples about this before in Al-Jazariyya. We came across some examples. So here, what did he do? What do we do? We don't say kada al-ikhfa. What do we do here? We're pronouncing Hamza. This is Hamzat Wasl, right? We're connecting it with the word before it, right? So we have to drop it. So let's drop this. What's left? What's left? We have the lam with kasra, the lam sakina, sorry. Lam sakina. Al, because you say al-ikhfa. Al-ikhfa, right? Al-ikhfa. This Hamza, as we said, is not Hamzat Wasl. Is not Hamzat Wasl. Is Hamzat Qata. Is Hamzat Qata. Okay? Even though it's Hamzat Qata, in some Arabic tribes, some Arab tribes, and in some Arabic dialects, what do? They do something called Naql al-Haraka. And we mentioned this before. When we talked about the Dad, for example, he said, وَالضَّادَ مِنْ حَافَتِهِ إِذْ وَلِيَ لَضْرَاسَ. Also that Hamza is Hamzat Qata. And he said إذ ولي الأضراس, and instead of saying إذ ولي الأضراس, he said إذ ولي الأضراس. What is this rule? Very quickly, I mentioned this before and I'm going to mention it once more. In narration of Warsh, for example, when we have قل أعوذ, Warsh in his narration of the Quran, which he received from his Shaykh Nafi', who received it from his Shaykh back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't read قل أعوذ. What does he do? He does نقل الحركة. نقل الحركة of what? What does نقل الحركة mean? It's very simply, نقل الحركة means moving the حركة. The حركة of what? The حركة of the Hamza. Moving it where? To the second letter before it. One more time. Moving the حركة of the Hamza, Hamzat القطع, Hamzat القطع, to the second letter before it. So instead of saying قل أعوذ, who can tell me how does it become? Move the حركة of the Hamza to the second letter before it. How does it become, guys?
قل أعوذ.
That's it. It becomes قل أعوذ. قل أعوذ. Okay? قل أعوذ. So we drop the Hamza basically and move the حركة. So it becomes قل أعوذ برب الفلق. قل أعوذ. قل أعوذ. Okay? Here we have Ikhfa, right? Al-Ikhfa. For example, al-insan, he says, هل أتى على الإنسان, على الإنسان, الإنسان, الإنسان. And so saying al-i, ali. تمام? So لام ساكنة. همزة الوصل, همزة القطع, sorry, هذا كسرة. Here we have a sukun. What do we say? And instead of saying al-ikhfa, what do we say? What do we say? What do we say? Alikh. Alikh. Look. Hamzat wasl. Li. Likh. What happened? What happened? We moved the haraka of the Hamza to the second letter before it. So instead of saying al-ikh, we said alikh. 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 Tamam or no? Clear? So here we have what? Alikh. Hamzat wasl. Right? Likh. Alikhfa. Alikhfa. Okay, now we want to connect this Hamzat wasl with the dha. Kada. Kada. So we have to drop it. So what's left? Kada likhfa. كذا لخفى لدى باقي الحروف أخذا. تمام? Is that clear? Any question about this? That's how you read it. كذا لخفى. كذا لخفى. So means also كذلك كذلك. الإخفاء also الإخفاء should be applied لدى at باقي الحروف, the remaining of the letters, the remaining letters, the remainder of the letters, the remaining letters. أخذ, this alif is not alif of the dual, is alif of release. Alif, I call it alif of release because as if we release the fatha and means stretch it to an alif, stretch it and make it an alif, okay? Or make an alif, generate an alif. أخذ, to fit the rhyme, to fit كذا. أخذ كذا. It doesn't work to say أخذ. Then the rhythm will break. So you say أخذ, and أخذ, it refers to what? To al-ikhfa, okay? أخذ refers to what? أخذ means al-ikhfa, أخذ. And أخذ means it was taken. That is literally it means أخذ, it was taken. For example, we say أخذ فلان إلى التحقيق. For example, we say a person was taken to investigation. Here أخذ or أخذ به Here it means أخذ به أي عمل به, means it is practiced or it is applied. تمام. باقي الحروف, the remainder of the letters, after dropping يرملون, which are the letters of idgham, and after dropping the halq letters, right, Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha, okay, after dropping those letters, 6 and 6, 12, and dropping the Ba, right, so those are what, 13. How much left of the Arabic alphabet? 15, because we don't count the alif, because the alif cannot come after nun sakina or tanween. So how many ikhfa letters do we have? 15 ikhfa letters. Any question about this? Okay, Bismillah. كذا الإخفاء لدى باقي الحروف أخذا. كذا الإخفاء لدى باقي الحروف أخذا. So this is the explanation of this line. By this we explained all the lines. Now we come to the details. Any question before we move on? Any question?
Sheikh Abdullah,
تفضل.
يعني is there a documented or like علم that tell us the roots where where is the tribes come from and their dialect? What's
Yeah,
that called?
there is I think the qira'at of the Quran kept those original dialects. And now if you go, yani, this is a historical and linguistic study at the same time. I'm not aware of any, like, I have no knowledge of specific books, but I'm sure there are books that talk about the dialects, the original Arabic dialects. But honestly, what matters for us from those dialects is the ones that are read through the Quranic readings, okay? The ones that are read through the Quranic readings. For example, they mentioned, for example, Al-Quraysh la tahmiz. They say Quraysh la tahmiz. For example, Quraysh don't say Al-Mu'minun, for example. So it is recorded in the Arabic language books that some tribes they do this, some tribes they do this, and they give names to those dialects. But for us, what matters in practice is the narrations that are read, or the dialects that are read in the Quranic narrations that have been transmitted to us through tawatur, through so many chains of trustworthy people. Tamam?
Tamam.
Okay. So now we come to the Ikhfa. So he says al-Ikhfa لدى باقي الحروف أخذ. Bismillah. Let's see now if we can show you some of the Bismillah of the files of that. Bismillah ya qadi al-haja. More apps. Okay. Bismillah. Let's see. Subhanallah al-Azim. So this is PowerPoint. Okay. Open with it should have PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. I think I have PowerPoint. I have it. Then why it's not? Okay, I wanted to show you the explanation from the Sheikh Ayman's video DVD, and then we go to the Word document. I'll give it one last try here. Bismillah. And see if we can at least show you the, here you go, Bismillah. Here you go. Okay. Allahumma ya Muyassir. Okay, so here, okay, this is one thing. So we want to see the next thing, الحروف العربية. Okay. Subhanallah. Ra. Okay, we don't want Ra. Lam. صفات الحروف. أيوة. So only these files was able to make them work. Okay, no problem. We'll go to Al-Ikhfa, and maybe next time I try to search for these well and have them ready and do the Ikhfa and Qalb together. Try to show you all those Bismillah, all files. Okay, let's see here. Didn't open. Try to show you Aywa. Now here you go. Okay. Al-Izhar, Al-Qalb. Okay. Al-Qalb. Here you go. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yalla, here is Al-Qalb. Bismillah. Okay. So Al-Hukm al-Thalith, the third rule of Nun Sakin and Tanween rules is Al-Qalb, changing. لغة, in the language, it's تحويل الشيء عن وجهه, turning the thing from its direction. حولته, قلبته, حولته, تحويل الشيء عن وجهه, تحويل الشيء عن وجهه, changing, turning. اصطلاحا, in the technical term of تجويد, قلب النون الساكنة أو التنوين عند الباء ميما مخفاة بغنة, changing the nun sakina or tanween at the ba into a meme that is hidden with a gunna. What does that mean? Meme hidden with a gunna. Hidden with a gunna means, as we explained before in details, means with one closure, one application of the makhraj. Amba, 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 like that. من بعد أن بورك أنبئهم سميع بصير جزاء بما شيء بصير. As you can see, of course, as you can see, the shape of the lips, they're closed without any gap, and without any pressing, as we mentioned before. The sign of Nun Sakina, the sign of Qalb, is they put a small meme and they put it in a green, right? They put it in a green in the Tajweed Mus'haf. Where do they put it? Above the Nun, as you can see here, telling you that the Nun changed into a meme. Same thing here. As for the Tanween, they put a little meme. Listen where they put it. See where they put it instead of the second haraka. So they put one haraka, right? And instead of putting the second haraka, they put the meme because the tanween, as we mentioned, is represented by the second haraka. The tanween is the second haraka, not the two harakat together are tanween. We call them tanween sometimes, just as I said, just with tolerance in expression, right? Tajawuzan. So we replace the second haraka with a meme, right? And they put this meme in green. Look here, in the Tajweed Mus'haf, they put it in green. So Sami, umba, jaza'an bi, shay'in ba, okay? Like this. That's it. That is Al-Qalb. Now we come to Al-Ikhfa. And since I opened the file, alhamdulillah, let's take Al-Ikhfa. Where is it? It should be in this direction then. Here you go. Al-Ikhfa. Al-Ikhfa. Al-Ikhfa تقدم تعريف الإخفاء لغة واصطلاحا. We explained the إخفاء, the definition of إخفاء before in the language and in the technical terminology, where he mentioned that when he talked about إخفاء شفوي, guys. When he talked about إخفاء شفوي. إخفاء, we said, means hiding, right? But in the technical term, we're hiding the noon in the sense that we're not pronouncing it, but we're keeping its غنة. How we do that? We said الإخفاء هو النطق بحرف, pronouncing a letter, بصفة بين الإظهار والإدغام, عار عن التشديد مع بقاء الغنة في ذلك الحرف. What does that mean? Pronouncing a letter in a way which is between إظهار and إدغام. Means it's similar to إظهار in one way, similar to إدغام in one way. So it's between إظهار and إدغام. تمام؟ عار عن التشديد, without شدة. Without شدة. It's not إدغام. And with keeping the غنة in that letter. تمام? With keeping the غنة in that letter. That's the إخفاء. When do we apply the إخفاء? We said at 15 letters, as I told you. عند باقي الأحرف, the remainder of the letters are 15 letters, right? Why is not showing in the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
You can see the pictures of إخفاء?
الحكم الرابع, yes.
Okay. So, what are those letters? If you know the alphabet, all of you know the alphabet, if you go in order, you're going to find the first letter. We have alif. The alif doesn't come after nun sakin or tanween. We have the hamza. The hamza is izhar. Then you have the ba is qalb. So we start, the ikhfa letters start with what? Ta. So ta, tha, right? Ta, tha. Jim. Then ha, kha, you're going to skip them because they're izhar. So ta, tha, jim. Ta, tha, jim. Then you have dal, dhal. Then you have the ra. Your ra is idgham. So you skip the ra. So you go to the zai, sin, shin, sad, da, ta, dha, fa, qaf, kaf. Okay, you skip the ayn, ghayn. So this way I see is easier for the kids than memorizing this line of poetry. So ta, tha, jim, ta, tha, jim, ta, tha, jim, dal, dhal, zai, sin, shin, sad, da, ta, dha, fa, qaf, kaf. These are the 15 ikhfa letters. Tamam? If you just go through the alphabet, exclude the idhar letters, you will find most of them are consecutive and most of them are ikhfa letters. Ta, tha, jim, dal, dhal, zai, sin, shin, sad, da, ta, dha, fa, qaf, kaf. Okay? Or you can learn the line of Imam al-Jamzuri رحمه الله تعالى صاحب تحفة الأطفال. صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخص قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. These are the beginning of the words of these lines, of this line are the إخفاء letters. Okay? صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخص قد سما. صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخص قد سما. زد في دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. Okay? صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخص قد سما. دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. Okay. يعني it has a meaning. صف ذا ثنا يعني describe with praise or praise. كم جاد شخص قد سما. كم جاد شخص قد سما. That the people who are sublime or who are elevated are the generous ones, the generous ones. دم طيبا, remain good and be good. زد في تقى, increase in your taqwa. ضع ظالما, يعني avoid the wrongdoers, avoid the unjust ones, something like this. Okay, now he explains the examples. I'm going to show you the examples. We're going to show you the picture of those examples. We're gonna apply all of them because we have different methods. So we're gonna take the examples of each method separate. Okay, here you go. Let's now come to explaining how is ikhfa a case between idhar and idgham. If you remember when we talked about ikhfa shafawi, in al-ikhfa al-shafawi we explained something similar, and we showed you how al-ikhfa is a status between idhar and idgham. There in ikhfa al-shafawi we talked about one application of the makhraj, okay, or two applications, okay, ارتفاع ارتفاع المخرج ارتفاع واحدة or ارتفاعتان, etc. That's what we mentioned when we talked about the إخفاء شفوي. The إخفاء شفوي. Here he's gonna explain the إخفاء again, how it is something between إظهار and إدغام. In إخفاء شفوي we said, for example, in الإظهار you say أن عم. You make two applications of the مخرج. Okay. In الإدغام you say, for example, mirra, also one application of the makhraj. Okay. In al-ikhfa al-shafawi, also one application. Amba, rabbuhum bi, hum bi, arra. So in that case, al-ikhfa al-shafawi, it's similar to al-idgham. It's similar to al-idgham in one way, right? It's similar to al-idgham in one way. On the other hand, it's similar to al-idhar. It's similar to al-idhar in what sense? That the first letter is pronounced in al-idhar. In al-idhar we say an, listen, an, a. So the first letter is apparent, is pronounced. In the ikhfa shafawi, ba, rabbuhum bi, also the first letter is pronounced. While in al-idgham, mirra, the noon is not pronounced at all. So in this case, ikhfa shafawi is also similar to al-idhar. So ikhfa shafawi is similar to al-idhar in one way, similar to al-idgham in one way, so it's between. This way is explaining how ikhfa shafawi in particular is a case between idhar and idgham. And if you want the details, you can go back to the class about al-ikhfa al-shafawi where I mentioned with the table. Here he's gonna explain it in another way, because al-ikhfa is different from al-ikhfa al-shafawi in its details, but in its general definition it is the same. It is a case between idhar and idgham. Let's see how. Let's start with Bismillah. Al-idhar. Let's take al-idhar. In al-idhar, or before al-idhar, guys, in an-nun as-sakina. In an-nun as-sakina, let me show you here. In an-nun as-sakina, when you have, let's say, when you say an'amta, for example, when you're saying the noon, okay, when you say the noon or the tanween is the noon sakina in pronunciation. So when you say the noon, how many parts are involved to make the noon? How many? We have
two.
A tongual part, right?
Yes.
And a nasal part.
Yes.
The tongue touches the gum and the sound comes from the nose. The nasalization comes from the nose. So you have two things. So we have juz' lisani and juz' khayshumi. We have what? Juz' lisani and juz' khayshumi. What does that mean? You touch the gum with your tongue, and because you're closing, the tongue is closing the gum, a sound going back and going through the nose. Tamam. And so the makeup of the noon or producing the noon involves two things: a ghunna and touching the gum. Mashi. A tongual part, a nasal part. In idhar, what do? If we say an'amta, we say أنعمت, when you say أنعمت, أنعمت, is the tongal part present? Yes. And I'm touching the noon or no? Touching the gum or no? Yes. Is the nasal part present? And of course it is there. So in إظهار we have what? جزء لساني and جزء خيشومي. Both are present, right or no? Right. الجزء اللساني والجزء الخيشومي, right? What about al-Ikhfa, or before al-Ikhfa, al-Idgham? Let's take al-Idgham. So remember here, if we say tongal part, okay, and we say nasal part, let's say. So remember, in al-Izhar, we have two checks. Both are present in al-Izhar, okay? Let's take now al-Idgham. Mir rabbika. Mir rabbika. Mirra. Do we have the tongal part? Yeah, no one answered. Let me see who's awake and who's not awake. Let me see. Sister who Halima. In mir rabbika, is the tongal part present or no? In this example, mir rabbika, is the tongal part present? Do we touch the gum with our tongue in this example or no?
Mirror,
Yeah.
I guess, because raw pronounced with the tongue. That is the gum.
Okay, you're right, but when we're talking about the tongal part and the nasal part, we're talking about the tongal part of which letter?
Raw.
Are we talking about here ikhfa of the ra or ikhfa of the noon?
Anu.
Are these rules of ra or rules of noon, sakin and tanween?
Sakin.
So is the tongal part present when we say mir rabbika?
No.
Why? Because the noon is
Yes.
all gone, right or no?
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
so here, no tongal part. What about the ghunna part? Is there a ghunna part there?
No.
That's idgham kamil, no ghunna. When we talk about idgham in general, we talk about idgham kamil.
Yes.
So that is the tongal part. Let's now talk about ikhfa. Let's take an example of ikhfa. Let's take, for example, an easy example. Man dha. Man dha. Man dha. Look at the noon here. Man. Huh? How do we apply the ikhfa? We say man dha. Man dha. Is the tongal part present in this in the ikhfa? Yeah, Sister Nazreen. Do we touch the gum here in the noon when we pronounce the ikhfa? Do we touch the gum?
No, we don't.
So no tongal part. X. Do we have a ghunna here?
Yes.
We have the ghunna, so a yes here. So look here. Look at this table right here. This is a small table. The last one, remember, is the ikhfa. Look, the ikhfa is similar to idhar in one way and similar to idgham in one way. You guys see? That is why al-ikhfa is a case between idhar and idgham. Is that clear?
Yes.
That is why ikhfa is a case between idhar and idgham. Now we're going to see with, of course, more organized table by Sheikh Ayman, may Allah reward him. And let's see. So here we have what? Al-juz' al-lisani, this is the tongal part. Al-juz' al-khayshumi, the nasal part. Okay? Here, al-idhar. So in al-idhar, what do we have? Is the tongal part there, guys, in al-idhar?
Yes.
Yes, it's there. It's there. Mawjood. Mawjood means what? Present. Is the nasal part there? Yes.
Yes.
Mawjood. Present. Let's move to the idgham or ikhfa. Is the tongal part present in ikhfa?
No. No.
No. معدوم. معدوم means non-existent. It's not present. Is the nasal part present in al-Ikhfa, ya Sister Yusra? In al-Ikhfa, do we have a nasal part?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Sheikh.
موجود. موجود, present. In al-Idgham, do we have a tongal part, ya Ahmad Ansari? In al-Idgham, is the noon pronounced in al-Idgham? Mir Rabbika? Huh?
No. No.
No, معدوم. Is the nasal part present, ya Sister Ala? In al-Idgham, do we have غنة? Mir Rabbika?
No.
No, معدوم. So as you can see, al-Ikhfa similar to al-Idgham in one way, right? Similar to al-Ikhfa in one way, to al-Idgham, and similar to al-Idhar in another way, right? That is how al-Idgham, al-Ikhfa is a case between Idhar and Idgham. Any question? Any question on that? This class, this is Al-Jazariyya class, Ahmad, is you need to register for that class, inshallah. This is separate from the Mahir Club. Inshallah, I'm going to send the link here for those who would like to attend Al-Jazariyya class, inshallah. Okay. Or send me an email to yourbrother01@gmail so that I can send you the link to register for Al-Jazariyya class. Okay, today I'm broadcasting it because this lesson, I know it's needed by many teachers, so I'm broadcasting it. But the rest of the class, generally, Al-Jazariyya Made Easy is a class only by registration. But Mahir Club members, they have access to Al-Jazariyya classes. They have access to watch the videos. But if you want to attend the class, you need to register. Okay, so that's Al-Ikhfa. That's it. He's done with it. That is Al-Ikhfa. Then what's left is the most important thing, of course, is what? Is to practice, okay, to practice the examples and see how we apply each example, etc., etc. So let's start and explain to you again. Okay, let's continue from Sheikh Ayman's here. Yalla, bismillah. What do we do in al-Ikhfa? What do we do in al-Ikhfa? Here. What do we do in al-Ikhfa? 3 steps, guys. 3 steps. First step, we're gonna pronounce the letter before the Ikhfa, before the Noon Sakin or Tanween. Okay, let's take this simple example. Man. Bismillah. Man. The. I always like to start to teach the kids this example because it's easy. Touch then press is easier than the other examples. Man the. First step, I'm gonna pronounce the letter before the Noon Sakina. This is the meme. I'm gonna say ma. Now, and instead of saying man, I'm not gonna say man. If I say man, then I'm doing izhar. I don't want to do izhar, right? I'm not supposed to tongue the makhraj, to touch the makhraj of the noon, because touching, that's izhar. And instead of touching, what should I do then with my tongue or my other organs of speech? I should prepare them. Listen to this word, huh? This is the general word. Prepare my organs of speech. And why I'm not saying my tongue? Because what about the fa? The fa doesn't have relation to the tongue. Okay? Anfu, anfu, f. To pronounce the fa, f. The fa doesn't have relation to the tongue. That's why we say, if you want to be precise, you say, the second step is, or the first step, if you want to be, to do it practically, or to consider the beginning of the Ikhfa process, The first step is prepare the organs of speech. That includes the tongue, the lips, the teeth, etc. Prepare my organs of speech to pronounce the Ikhfa letter. Tamam? That's the first step. Prepare the organs of speech to pronounce the Ikhfa letter. Now, how do I prepare my tongue to pronounce the Ikhfa letter? What do I do? Well, here, teachers, they just mentioned to you how to prepare, example by example. But this servant, I found that this preparation can be put into 3 groups, 3 ways. There are 3 ways of preparation. If we look how our sheikhs recited and how they apply ikhfa, okay. No, there's no ikhtilaf regarding ikhfa. If you see how they're applying ikhfa, okay, you find that there are 3 ways to do ikhfa based on the letter. Not with every letter of ikhfa there are 3 ways to do ikhfa. No. With some ikhfa letters, you have to do them in a certain way, and some other ikhfa letters, you must do them in a certain way. Okay? How? Listen how. So I want you first to understand the general definition. Prepare the organs of speech to pronounce the ikhfa letter. While your organs of speech are prepared to pronounce the ikhfa letter, there should be an ongoing long ghunna. Long ghunna should be ongoing. And once the long ghunna is over, you pronounce the ikhfa letter. You pronounce the ikhfa letter. How you pronounce it, again, it depends on the letter and the method of the 3 methods that I'm going to mention. Clear? It's very simple, very easy. Let's take this application or example. Let's take this example here. Bismillah. So I'm going to say ma. Now I'm going to what? Prepare my organs of speech to pronounce what? The ikhfa letter, the dal. How do I do that? I place the tip of my tongue between my teeth. Ma, ma, I'm preparing to pronounce the ikhfa letter like this. Ma, now I should add a ghunna while I'm prepared. So it will be like this. Ma, okay. So when I'm doing this, what's going on here? Ma, 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 ma. Long ghunna is ongoing. The tongue or the organs of speech are prepared to pronounce the dal. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Am I pronouncing a dal? No, that's not a dal. Is this a dal? Is this a dal? No, this is a dal. But when I say tongue prepared to pronounce the dal, ready to pronounce the dal, ghunna is ongoing. Now, when the long ghunna is over, then I pronounce the dal. The ghunna only in the first letter. In the first letter, which is the noon, right? It's kept on the noon. That's the ghunna of the noon. When I pronounce the ikhfa letter, it doesn't have a ghunna. Okay? Okay? So that is how we apply ikhfa to this particular letter. In this case, as you notice, what am I doing here? I'm touching the makhraj of the dal, huh? I'm touching the makhraj of the dal. And when the long ghunna is over, I'm pressing to pronounce the dal. Man, man, the. So I call this method touch, then press. Touch while the long ghunna is over, then one is ongoing. While touch while the long ghunna is ongoing, and once the long ghunna is over, press to pronounce the ikhfa letter. I found that this is applied also to tha and to dha and. That is how our sheikhs taught us. That is how Sheikh Ayman Suwaid reads. That's how the reliable sheikhs of Tajweed read the ikhfa. So I'm not like innovating something, you know, I only put them in groups to make it easier for students and gave them names. That's all what I did. And alhamdulillah, by Allah's blessings, this is a unique categorization that you don't find in any book or did not hear from any teacher. And I found that it made it much easier for students. So no problem. As I said many times, Sheikh Ayman said, may Allah reward him, there's no room for innovation in the recitation, but there's a huge room, an open door for innovation in the way you explain the rules. Tamam? Okay. So I found dal, fa, dha, and fa, and look, I'm touching, huh? With little gap in the little gap, not anfusahum as some reciters mistakenly do. Even some famous qurra, no touching. No, you should touch some of the teeth to the lip, and not touch completely like the no. Anfu. We're gonna come back to all of the examples again. So ذال ثاء ظاء فاء قاف أنق. Touch then press, huh? أنق. The calf, same thing. Ank. Not as some students read. Ank. No. Ank. Touch. You have to touch, then press. So this method, touch then press, I found it's applied to 5 letters. 6 letters. Val, Dha, Tha, these Lithuania letters, and Fa, Qaf, Kaf. That's it. Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Tha, Val, Dha. We need to notice that in all of the Ikhfa letters, okay, there is a little oral sound in addition to the Gunna. One more time. In all of the Ikhfa letters, there is a little Suwait Famawi, little oral sound going on with the Gunna, except in Qaf and Kaf. Because in Qaf and Kaf, the makhraj completely blocked. The back part of the tongue, Aqsa lisan, touching the soft palate completely. So the sound is going, returning, and going through the nose only. Not as some students say, no. Same thing with the Kaf. Tamam? So that is the first method. The second method, I call it bring it close, then touch. So the preparation to pronounce the ikhfa letter, how is it done in this method? It's done by bringing your tongue close to the ikhfa letter, not touching, bringing it close to the ikhfa letter, then touching. Tamam? Why? Let's see where we apply this method, and then you will know why. Let's see how we apply that, which letters we apply this to, and then you will know why we don't touch them, press. We apply this to the dal, ta, ta, jim, dad. Dal, ta, ta, jim, dad. 5 letters. Dal, ta, ta, they come from the same place. Dal, ta, ta, and jim and dad. Let's take the dal. If I say indahu, for example, if I touch, I'm gonna touch and apply the touch then press method. Then I would say indahu. Who can tell me what am I doing in this case? If I say if I apply touch then press to the dal, عند عند. Who can tell me? What am I applying in that case?
إظهار.
I'm doing إظهار with extra غنة. I am doing إظهار with extra غنة because I'm touching the noon. I'm doing the tongal part, and that's إظهار. I'm not supposed to touch, right? So here, if we apply with all of these letters, dal, ta, ta, jim, dad, these 5 letters, because their makhraj is, if you touch the gum, then you'll be pronouncing those letters. أنتم عنده انطلقوا أنجاكم أمضى عند من ضعف. If you touch the gum in these 5 letters, then you are doing إظهار with غنة. That is why the way we recited these words and these examples and this إخفاء with these 5 letters is, again, the general definition. Remember, you prepare the organs of speech to pronounce the إخفاء letter while the غنة is ongoing. And when the غنة is ongoing, you pronounce the إخفاء letter. How this preparation happens in these letters? You bring the tongue close to these إخفاء letters, and when the long غنة is over, you touch to pronounce the إخفاء letter. تمام? That's why I call this method close, then touch. Look. Where is my tongue? It's like this, close to the dal. If I say so much oral sound, that's not right. If I say is my tongue close to the dal? It's not. It's far. Look. No, bring it closer. Now it's close. Yes. Huh? Then you touch. Look the difference. If I say I'm touching, that's wrong. If I say I'm bringing far, that's wrong. Bring it close without touching. Then you touch. أنتم كنتم انطلقوا أنجاكم look, if I say no. If I say no. But it should be أنجا. What's left? The dad. If I say no. No. Bring it close. You see, I'm prepared to do the dad. Here comes the issue. Should we make the ghunna of the ikhfa in the ikhfa letter heavy or light? Well, we don't need that question, because if you prepare your organs of speech correctly, to pronounce the ikhfa letter, naturally the ghunna will be light with the light letters and heavy with the heavy letters. So when I say, listen, if I say, and you know that that's a ta or a dal. It cannot be a ta. I cannot say, intaliqu. It doesn't work. If I say, in ta, that's wrong, because when I say in, I'm not preparing to do the ta. To prepare to do the ta, you have to position your tongue in the way to pronounce the ta, and that will make the ghunna heavy. That's the ta. That's the preparation for the ta. انطلقوا. So when you prepare correctly, the ghunna will be heavy with the heavy letters, light with the light letters. Okay? That is the second method of ikhfa, which I call close then touch. What's left? It has been, I think, an hour now. So 1 hour, 10 minutes. We'll explain the last method, inshallah, or shall we explain it now? What do you guys think? Shall we explain the last method now? Of course, we have to go over again the files and the pictures and the examples. So we need one more class for Ikhfa, but I'll quickly finish the last method. The last method, we have 4 letters: Sin, Sad, Zai, the Safir letters, Sin, Sad, Zai, and we have the Sheen. Let's see here in these methods. Let's see in these methods, in this method, Sin, Sad, Zai, Sheen. Let's try to apply touch then press. If I say, for example, Ansahum, if I say if I touch Ansahum, Ansahum, if I touch, then that's idhar with gunna. It doesn't work. If I want to bring it close, then touch and sa. What should I touch in this? Let's take the sheen. Let's take the sheen first. Let's take the sheen. Look, in the sheen, how is the sheen produced? The sheen, this is the roof of the mouth, this is the tongue. The middle part of the tongue comes closer to the roof. Ash, ash, ash. In the sheen, guys, no touching. In the sheen, no touching. When you do a sheen, you don't touch anything with anything. You only bring your tongue, the middle part of your tongue, close to the roof of the mouth, like this. If you touch, what letter do we have if we touch, guys? What letter?
Jim.
Jim. If you say edge, 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 but the sheen is like this, ash, 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 ash. That's why here we don't say touch, then we don't say touch, then press, and we don't say close, then touch, because you're not touching. There's no touching. Tamam? So what do we do then? I have
Mohammed,
to
you need to
prepare.
sleep now.
I have to prepare the organs of speech. I have to prepare the organs of speech to pronounce the sheen. How do I do that? I bring the middle part of the tongue close to the sheen, like this, and it's close to the sheen, huh? Then I bring it to the sheen. How I bring it to the sheen? Do I touch? Well, if you touch, you do a jim. If you say and it's not a jim. So you bring it close, then closer, and that's the sheen. And tamam? Clear? That is why I call this method close, then closer. Tamam? Close, then closer. How do we do it for the sin and the sad and the zai? Ansa, ansa, anza. Why I call it with the sin and the sad and the zai close, then closer? Well, here in the sin and the sad and the zai, the tongue already touching the base, okay, of the lower incisors, like this. In the ikhfa, when you do the sin and the sad and the zai, in ikhfa or no ikhfa, the shape of the tongue is already touching. Then how do you pronounce the sad and the sin and the zai? Look. What do? I bring the teeth close. That's it. Do I touch the teeth? Any one of you say sin and sad and zai and si. Do you touch the teeth with each other? Do you say as? You don't touch. Do you say as? Do you say as? No. You leave a gap, tiny gap between the teeth, the upper teeth and the lower teeth. If you don't believe, look at the mirror and see, right? Okay. You see this little gap between the teeth? Do you see? The teeth don't close. That's why I don't say touch, then press, or close, then touch, because there's no touching. But it is close, then closer. Bring the teeth close, then closer in the sin and the sad and the zai. That's how you do the ikhfa for these letters. Okay. So inshallah, by this I showed you all of the ikhfa letters, how you do ikhfa at them through these 3 different methods, and I explained to you why we do each method different from the other. Inshallah, if Allah wills, next time we're gonna go over the examples one by one, and we're gonna read the file, and by this we finish the Ikhfa, inshallah. So next time, next class will be the final class in this section, section 10, and in it, inshallah, we'll finish Ikhfa and we'll mention some of the common mistakes. Is there any question about anything we said in this class? Those who are watching or those who are present here, any question about anything we mentioned about Ikhfa? Clear? Okay. So
Ustaz,
if Allah wills,
Ustaz,
yes, yes, sister.
can I practice the Ikhfa letters next session?
Yeah, of course, all of you should do that, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So inshallah, next time we show you the file, we read from the file and the pictures that Sheikh Ayman has, and we make you practice those. Any question about anything? Okay, alhamdulillah, subhanak Allahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, salli Allahumma ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Again, Ikhfa, I explained it in simple words, simple ways, all of the method of Ikhfa in the Easy Tajweed playlist. In the Easy Tajweed playlist, if you want just the summary, is there. For kids, is there. This detailed explanation, we only do it for teachers and advanced students. For little kids, for beginners, just explain to them the way you do it, khalas. We don't have to explain how and why,